Hi everyone, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the concepts of absolute and comparative advantage. I wanted to show you two farmers, Farmer Bob, Farmer Bob and Farmer John. Given the same plot of land, so they both have 1 acre, these are their production. Farmer Bob can make 100 tomatoes, Farmer John can only make 50. So you can tell who the better farmer is. That would be Farmer Bob. But what I want you to understand too is that if Farmer Bob wanted to grow 50 tomatoes, he would only need half the land that Farmer John has. So in the same amount of land, he can produce double the resources, which means that he uses fewer resources per square foot than Farmer John does to produce the same yield. That gives him an absolute advantage. So absolute advantage means that your production is higher with the same inputs, or you can make the same amount using fewer resources. Now, comparative advantage means we need to compare not just the same product, but 2 products, because comparative advantage deals with opportunity cost. So here, on the land, Farmer Bob can produce 100 tomatoes or 30 avocados. Farmer John can produce 50 tomatoes or 20 avocados. So the comparative advantage is based on who has the lowest opportunity cost. And unless the opportunity costs are exactly the same, which they rarely are, then the lowest opportunity cost is what you should specialize in. So even though they both produce fewer avocados, we want to see how many tomatoes per avocado are given up to see what our opportunity costs are. So let's take a look at our chart down here. So I've taken the information and put it into a chart, and I want you to take a look here. You can see the tomatoes and avocados ratios. There are a couple ways to do it. I'm going to go over the way that's a little more collegiate here because sometimes you're asked for your opportunity cost, and just sort of a quick rounding math. For every 1 avocado Bob makes, he has to give up 3 tomato plants that are planted. Whereas John, for every 1 avocado that he makes, he only gives up 2.5 tomato plants. So John's a little more efficient at making avocados. His opportunity cost per avocado is lower, so he should create avocados, while Bob's opportunity cost per tomato is lower. And you notice here this should be 20. Now, the way I've taught you to do it in class, it's much quicker and a little bit easier, cleaner mathematically, is you can subtract the distances here. Here, the distance between Bob and John is 50. Here, the distance is 10. So we're looking for lowest opportunity cost for our weak player, that's John. John should produce avocados, which, to fall back, means Bob should produce tomatoes. If, for example, you had a situation like I had before with 200 avocados, so John's clearly the better avocado farmer, Bob's clearly the better tomato farmer. With the same amount of resources, Bob can produce more tomatoes than John, and John can produce more avocados than Bob. So you have absolute advantages in those areas. However, you also have a comparative advantage because Bob gives up way less avocados to plant tomatoes than John does. So you can see that the opportunity costs change there as well. So hopefully you can remember this and do well with your test, but take a look to recap one more time. Comparative advantage means you have the lowest opportunity cost. You are giving up the least. Absolute advantage means that with the same input, same amount of time, same amount of land, you can produce more. Or if you're making the same amount, so for Farmer Bob to produce 50 tomatoes, he's only going to need half as many inputs. He's doing something different. Maybe he has better fertilizer, different tomato seeds, more efficient labor production, better machinery, who knows. Whatever it is, he can make the same amount using fewer resources, or given the same resources, he can produce more. That's an absolute advantage. Comparative advantage focuses on that opportunity cost.